Hey, Falcons fans and NFL fans. It is the Atlanta Sports Unlimited Fantasy Football Show with Tom Pollen. I'm Dave Holcomb. Super Bowl wrapped up the 2020 season. It was a crazy one. Officially ended last Sunday. We'll have a recap of the Super Bowl, but we're going to look forward to the offseason as well in today's show, Tom. No shortage of quarterback drama. Russell Wilson getting thrown in there now as a possible moving piece at the quarterback position.
That's kind of one we didn't expect. I mean, that's one of the names we did not mention at the beginning of the offseason or when we started this show, that Russell Wilson might be in play, might be controversy with him.
Right. He was one of the names you thought we could pencil in for Seattle next year at quarterback. And it looks like that's not the case anymore. We will also have an update in the Carson Wentz situation, and then a few other interesting tidbits around the league. J.J. Watt, a free agent now after his release with the Houston Texans.
Amazing.
On Friday.
Incredible.
And controversy around Urban Meyer and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Maybe that's not really breaking news to either one of us, but we will be discussing that.
Not when it comes to Urban Meyer.
We'll get to that in the second half of our show. But let's recap and put an end to the season overall with the Super Bowl. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this because everybody's been reading about the game all week. We don't get a great chance with the timing of our show to recap things. We look ahead with the Saturday show. But
Bogey,
Super Bowl.
Bogey wants to chime in too. So, Bogey, do you have anything to say?
What did Bogey think of Tom Brady's MVP and the Buccaneers win in Super Bowl 55?
I think he was amazed as anybody else. The thing is, I don't know if Brady deserved that MVP trophy as much as Todd Bowles did. You got to look at it, talking about it with Chris before the show. Kansas City didn't score a touchdown. They didn't get the goal line once.
Yeah.
It's just, how do you not do that? But, Brady did what he needed to do, threw very well. They took care of the ball. One of the problems that I mentioned last week was Kansas City giving Brady short fields to work with, and you just can't do that. Tampa Bay will tear you apart if you give short fields.
The amount of mistakes by the Chiefs in the first half, some of them we discussed on Twitter. We didn't agree with all the calls, the penalties, but Kansas City.
There were some ticky-tack calls, yeah.
We both agreed that there were a couple of instances where we wouldn't have called the penalty, and maybe that changes the game, maybe it doesn't. But I mean, that kind of when you lose 31-9, you can't just say, "Oh, well, we lost because of the officials." I mean, it started with them maybe, and Kansas City losing their cool in certain situations in the first half, and then Tampa Bay, to their credit, took advantage, and then the game wasn't close.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay did a great job of just keeping their composure. Bogey, come on, you're not going there. I had to take him to the vet earlier today, so
okay.
Yeah. But Kansas City lost some of their composure. I think they were upset by some of the penalties. But I've watched some game film on. I haven't watched the entire game, but I have watched a little bit of game film on it, especially Tampa Bay on defense. Just incredible job of getting rushed with four men, which shows you the problem that Kansas City had with both their tackles being out.
Right.
Tampa Bay only rushed on 9% of their plays. And then, the rest, the seven, defensive backs, the seven people they had in coverage, did a magnificent job of handing off receivers as they were coming across the middle, man coverage, picking up zone, keeping Tyreek Hill only gained 3 yards in receptions outside the lines, and normally he'll put up 100 yards just outside the lines.
Mm-hmm.
And Tampa Bay wasn't allowing it. Tampa Bay kept the sidelines clean, and part of the reason why Mahomes was running so much and getting chased so much, he had nobody to throw to. There was nobody out there.
Yeah.
That was a big problem. There was just nobody there to throw to. So, that makes it rough to deal with. One more thing I wanted to bring up. I saw this on Next Gen Stats on NFL.com. Patrick Mahomes ran for a total of 497 yards in the game. Not straightforward, just trying to escape and keep it away from the pass rush. 497 yards.
That's a great next gen stat. I love that you brought up Todd Bowles and his game plan of rushing really only 4 guys. What was the percentage that they blitzed again? You
9%.
9% blitz percentage is complete opposite of what Todd Bowles normally does. And whether he was doing it to change it up, to kind of keep Kansas City on their toes with a different game plan, breaking tendency kind of thing, or if it was because he knew he could get a good rush with 4 guys. I mean, it probably was both, partially.
I think it was both.
And it worked to perfection. As you said, no touchdowns allowed. And that leads to our trivia question I was going to ask you today.
Oh, okay.
And to our fans out there, let us know the answer to our trivia question. You can write a comment in the box where you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube. Get a hold of Tom and I on Twitter at TJ Pollen, at DM Holcomb. So our trivia.
I haven't seen the link to the show on Twitter yet. So, but I don't know. We won't go there. But anyway.
You're calling out our producer?
No, I would never do that. Never call out Chris.
Oh, he says it's coming.
Okay.
When was the last time a team didn't score a touchdown in the Super Bowl? Now, don't overthink it, is my clue. Don't overthink it.
Okay. Don't overthink it. So I don't want to go back to the early 1970s, Colts versus Dolphins, or
no.
No. Oh, okay.
That would have been the correct answer a couple years ago.
Okay. Yes. Let's see. Broncos?
No, Broncos.
They got buried by Seattle's defense that one year.
They scored 1 touchdown and got a 2-point conversion. That was it.
Hell, even the Bears gave up a touchdown in Super Bowl 20. Let's see.
And Chris, you can weigh in as well if you want to get in before Tom. After Tom,
I was like, we're going.
Listen, I'm thinking about it now. Tom called me out as I had ready to send and everything, and I'm like, Tom, okay.
No, Chris. No.
I'm kidding, Tom. I'm kidding with you.
Let's see. God.
All right,
Rams.
There you go. That is correct.
Rams.
The Rams only had a field goal, and that's it. So in the last 3 Super Bowls, we've had 2 teams not score touchdowns. Go figure with all the offense in today's game.
Yeah,
that is amazing.
I was gonna say, actually, I was thinking about it because that was a blanking on who they played, but it was an uneventful game. Everybody said the Super Bowl was boring, like nobody was excited about it, and I was blanking on the teams, but.
Yeah, and of course that was the Super Bowl that was in Atlanta.
Yeah,
that's the one that we got
at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Right. Yeah. I hope there's another Super Bowl at Mercedes-Benz Stadium soon to kind of get that one out of our
right. Yeah, take the taste out of your mouth a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Although I don't think anybody's going to want to repeat this last one at Raymond James Stadium either. But I mean, Tampa just was incredible on defense. Their defense, they had the perfect game plan. You're right, Dave. They were breaking tendencies, and they knew they could get away with it. And that's all it took. That's all it took.
I think it's possible Bowles said, okay, we're going to start with this game plan to break tendencies, and then it was working so well. He just kept with it. He didn't have to make any. He didn't have to make an adjustment. And really, it was the same on offense for Tampa Bay. Bruce Arians, he's super aggressive. Not that he wasn't aggressive, but his game plan wasn't throw the ball downfield. His game plan was slow down the rush with screens and play action.
Yeah, and they did it perfectly. They took advantage of what Kansas City could not do, which was control the rush. Kansas City is not a good defense against the run. And with their run, with Fournette and their screen passes, they took advantage of Kansas City's defense. They did a perfect job of it.
Absolutely. And I think we can really leave it there with the Super Bowl. We got a lot of other topics to get to. If there's another comment from one of our listeners out there that wants to return and make another point about the Super Bowl, feel free.
I'm tired of hearing about Tom Brady now, though. So
it's a little bit better for me that he's not in New England, because it's not all about the Patriots, Patriot way, Bill Belichick being the greatest of all time. It's kind of been like, well, is it now Tom? Did Bill Belichick now get? Was he fortunate to have Tom Brady as a quarterback? Is he? I think he's still considered the greatest of all time, but it's a little bit more interesting that Brady's won it with somebody else.
Yes, it is. What is Matt Ryan's status in Atlanta?
Yeah, we got a question from a listener in Denver. It sounds like he's a Falcons fan in Denver.
Yep.
And he's asking about Matt Ryan's status with the Falcons. I don't think it's really changed over the last few weeks. What do you think, Tom?
I haven't heard a word about the Falcons making a change with Ryan. I think he's still going to be there. He still has a couple of years where he can be at the top of his game. I don't, and I said this, last year, he was only 35. I think he's only going to be 36 or 37. And he can still be at the top of his game if his receivers are healthy. He didn't have Julio Jones for a little while. He needs a line. He cannot take a rush. As long as you have an offensive line in front of him, I think the Falcons are actually sitting okay with Matt Ryan right now. And I mean, it depends on what they feel. Do they feel like they're in a need to rebuild right now, or do they feel they can retool on the fly and make one more run at this?
I think they can retool on the fly. And to add to your point, they need a running game. I've been saying that for years, but particularly now with Matt Ryan at 36, he's still a capable quarterback if you have other stars around him. He can't carry the team. He's not an MVP like he was 4 or 5 years ago. He's got to be part of the ride, and you got to get a star running back, or at least a very good running game. And that's why we like the Arthur Smith hire, because we think he will bring that running game. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, he's worked with one of the best runners in the game in Tennessee, so. And I think he will. I think they'll have their shot at free agents. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with free agency. And the draft, I'm not sure. Where do they draft right now? What is their
they're drafting? They're 4.
They're 4th. They can actually. Got
another comment from Mike.
Yeah. Reminds me of Elway in the late 80s. Yeah, I agree. He's so smart. Matt Ryan is a very smart quarterback. And I think, guys like Brady, Breeze, and Ryan is approaching that stage where they make up for maybe a slight drop in reaction time, slight drop in mechanics by knowing what's out on the field. They know there's nothing Matt Ryan hasn't seen on the football field. You're not going to fool him. So, and I think that's going to be a big thing going forward. But if they're drafting 4th, they can, I think, draft a prospect if they want to. Someone to groom behind Ryan. Maybe it's time to do that.
It could depend on what the other teams in front of them do. Because there's 3 quarterbacks, I think. I haven't really looked at a ton of mock drafts, admittedly, yet. But Trevor Lawrence is the shoe-in number 1 pick. And we've heard Justin Fields all the time as the number 2. I don't know if he's going to stay at number 2 though, because the quarterback from BYU, which I don't know the name off the top of my head.
Last name's Wilson, I think.
Is it Zach Wilson? Is that right?
Yeah, Zach Wilson. Right.
I mean, he is possibly kind of like a Josh Allen type. I'm not comparing him in the sense of he's going to be Josh Allen, but he's from a smaller school, not a Power 5 school, and could potentially be a high pick. And somebody that you didn't hear a lot about during the season, college football season, that is going to get a lot of attention come draft time. Those 3 go in the first 3 picks. I don't think the Falcons go quarterback, but if one of them drops, then you could see the Falcons go with quarterback.
I think they grab him. If there's a chance, I think they grab him.
We got a comment from Gary in Delaware. Is there a logjam among NFL QB free agents and those available for trade? And if so, who are the number or 1, 2 available QBs that everyone is watching?
Oh, Gary, it's too early in the morning for this stuff. I mean, come on.
Well, I think that leads into, Deshaun Watson is the number 1 guy.
Deshaun Watson's number 1, but Houston says he is not going anywhere. They let go of J.J. Watt now, but Houston says that Watson is not going anywhere. And
I still think he's
definitely the one.
He's still number 1 to watch, and I think number 2 now, this will lead into our Russell Wilson discussion. Number 2 is Russell Wilson, just because they're clearly the best 2 quarterbacks available of the guys that we have that could potentially be on the move. And I think they're even ahead of Drew Brees, who's not going to be on the move. He's going to retire or come back to the Saints.
Retire.
And similar to Ben Roethlisberger is the same. He's either going to retire or come back to the Steelers.
Well, his favorite center's leaving is retired. So, Roethlisberger is going to be – the Steelers might actually be a player in this quarterback derby that we didn't think before the season would end up. So, it's interesting to see how this is lining up.
It is. And Russell Wilson is number 2 now for me because of what happened this week. And what happened this week, Wilson went on the Dan Patrick show. And basically aired his frustration with the organization. That was a very candid video or interview, and an interview that a reporter or journalist loves to get. But then, of course, it leads to drama on the field between the player and the team, because Wilson said, I'm paraphrasing, he's frustrated by the amount of times he's been hit in Seattle. He's been sacked 394 times, Tom, in 9 years. At least 40 times per season every year since his rookie year. His rookie year was the only time he wasn't sacked 40 times. And then the next day, Dan Patrick reported on his show that he talked to somebody in the Seahawks organization. He said that they were unhappy that Russell Wilson went public with his frustrations. And the source told Patrick that the current situation is not sustainable. So all of a sudden, Wilson is seemingly on the block as a possible piece moving this offseason. Another thing Wilson said, I omitted this, that he wasn't sure if he was going to be traded or not. He said that during his interview, which was very odd because no one has heard about Wilson being on the trade block, but Wilson said he wasn't sure if he was going to – basically said he wasn't sure he was going to be in Seattle next year because Seattle might trade him.
I had never heard that. This is the first I heard of that is coming out this week. Yes, that there was any discord in the organization between him and management.
And I think Seattle, the organization, was actually most upset by that comment, maybe more than the getting hit comment, because it painted the franchise as the bad guy, that the franchise doesn't want me to be here. I'm not sure I'm going to be here. I want to be part of the Seahawks organization. And again, as you said, there was no indication that Seattle didn't want Wilson before this week. So all of a sudden,
he's also making comments about wanting to be more involved in personnel. That's a bad trend. That's the worst thing you want to see. He wants to have more say as far as the way the personnel is lined up, getting offensive linemen, getting receivers. I don't like that at all. And that's a big problem coming up for – if he's got that feeling, then That's going to be a big bone of contention between him and Seattle because, it's his job to play quarterback. It's not his job to put people on the field.
Yeah. And I mean, they haven't done the best of jobs of protecting him, definitely.
No, they haven't.
But
Absolutely
they have
not.
surrounded him with a great defense throughout his career. They've gotten him weapons in recent years. I mean, he's had Tyler Lockett for a long time. Now he has DK Metcalf. They have a running game again when they had a period of time where after Marshawn Lynch's retirement, they couldn't run. So he's had a lot of great things. It's kind of weird that all of a sudden he wants to be a personnel guy. But we got some comments that we want to get to. Let's get to Mike's first. That one's the one on the screen. Thank you, fellas. I'm available for Broncos perspective anytime you want. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, we would love to have your perspective on the show. Huge chatter here about Watson. Theory is that the Broncos sign Watt, we re-sign Kareem Jackson, and then we recruit Watson. Hey, I mean, that's not a bad offseason strategy.
That would be a way to go, yeah.
By the way, my wife is a Broncos fan. So,
that would put a quarterback in place in Denver that's the big piece that they're missing. You put a quarterback in that mix, and I think Denver's a big contender again. I just don't think Drew Lock gets it done.
Yeah, I mean, Locke's shown some promise, but not enough for me to say that I'm confident in him. Is this comment from you, Chris? Could Russell Wilson make his way?
It is. I'm just curious. Ciara has strong ties. Maybe she could drag him. If I know we talk about Matt Ryan instead of going anywhere, but hey, I mean, maybe Russell's what the team needs to have some spark and actually win a game.
I would assume that that's going to be difficult to pull off with salary cap for the Falcons. The salary cap is supposed to go down. So I would think that Wilson has the biggest cap hit of any quarterback, right?
Yes, he does. Yeah, I think it's like $32 million.
I don't think Wilson to Atlanta is realistic. But, I mean, right now we're playing musical chairs with these quarterbacks, so who knows what's going to happen.
And, again, and you brought it up, Dave, and I just want to kind of bring this up again. Everybody thinks they know where the salary cap is going. There's a lot of people online who I've been reading saying that the salary cap is going to be this, the salary cap is going to be that. I don't think anybody knows where the salary cap is going to be next year yet. Yeah. I think that's still up in the air, and that's still going to make a difference between what happens with these quarterbacks.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Doesn't Matt Ryan have a pretty big cap hit?
He does.
If Atlanta makes a play for Wilson, you not only have to pay Wilson, but then you got the cap hit from Ryan.
Right. Because I think that's why, to go back to Mike's question, I mean, part of the reason why the Falcons are sticking with Ryan and sticking with Julio Jones, at least I think that's what they're going to do, is because of the cap hits. If they trade those guys, they're still going to eat some of their money from their cap hit. So why pay to have them play for a different team? To get Wilson, that would be an upgrade over Ryan, no doubt. All respect to Matt Ryan, Russell Wilson is a better quarterback at this point.
Right now, right.
But you can't pay $50 million to get Russell Wilson.
No.
That's including what you'd have to pay for Matt Ryan to play for a different team. It's just not gonna happen. It's just you don't have enough space to pay everybody else. I don't see that.
I don't see it either. That's why I see more likely Atlanta goes with one of the prospects that are coming out than actually making a trade or trying to make a deal for one of the established quarterbacks that are even a free agent that's going to be around the. Am I still on?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay. Even a free agent that might be out there, I just can't see it. By the way, cap hit for Ryan, dead cap for 2021 is just under $50 million. That's under $50 million, just like $49 million. And here's Zozo. Here he is. So
wow,
we got
that high. $49 million for Matt Ryan in 2021.
Yeah, $49,937 for Matt Ryan is his dead hit. dead cap.
Is it easy to see how much he will be a cap hit if he's traded? Is it easy to see that?
Yeah, that'll be the cap hit if he's traded yeah.
Oh, that's the cap hit if he's traded. Okay.
No, not if he's traded. If I've got to read more about the salary cap and how it works. Because salary cap will drive.
I think it's not going to be all of that $49 million, but it's part of it, and even half of it would be too much, because if you get Wilson, then that's whatever, $45 million for Wilson. I'm not sure what Wilson is, but then on top of that, half of what Ryan's making, that's just not doable. Mike says I could see Russell with the Jets.
I think the Jets actually do have some active cap. I think the Jets are actually supposed to be in pretty good cap space. I don't know if they want to go with an established quarterback now, though, or go ahead and try again with a prospect. I would say if the Jets were Super Bowl ready, Russell Wilson would make a lot of sense for them. But they're not anywhere near Super Bowl ready yet. And I think it's kind of like with the Bills with Josh Allen. You brought him in. You knew you were going to have to fill around him. And now the Bills are actually Super Bowl ready with a young quarterback. And I think that's kind of where the Jets would want to be.
I agree. I don't think the Jets are looking for – not that I shouldn't call Russell Wilson a bridge quarterback, because he's not. He's a franchise quarterback. But
yes. And he's only 32.
Yeah, he's got plenty of good years left. But yeah, and if Russell Wilson has any say, I don't think he's jumping to go to the Jets. I mean, unless he really wants to have a lot of say with personnel and whatever you're talking about, and if the Jets give him that.
One of the things Wilson talked about was how frustrating it was being up in the box with Roger Goodell watching the game instead of being down on the field.
Well, he's not going to be in the game.
That's going to be a problem, right? So, you're not going to get that with the Jets. Not right now. Maybe in a couple of years. It depends on how well they draft now that they got, new
coaching.
Yeah, new coaching. But they do have cap space available. So, the Jets could actually make a dramatic move this offseason and fit it into their cap.
Let's move on to Carson Wentz. Is another guy, and Mike, we love all the comments, and I think he's referring to Matt Ryan there. That Matt Ryan should get restructured. I mean, that's a possibility too. But I think either way, he's going to be on the Falcons.
Yeah, he's going to be on the Falcons. And I do think, Mike, I will agree with you, he needs to be restructured because they can't take that kind of hit. They're kind of in the middle. They're in that no man's land where they're, close to being a contender, but they're also close to falling to the bottom of the league. Yeah, it depends on the personnel moves they make in the next couple of years or this offseason. And I think one of the things they need to do is free up some money from Ryan's contract to be able to make that viable.
Let's move on to Carson Wentz. Is another quarterback we have our eye on. I don't know if he's the number 3 guy per se, and if we're going by, Gary wanted to give us quarterback power rankings, but Wentz is probably further down that list. But there has been some chatter with Wentz in Chicago this week, right?
Yes, there is. Yeah, it seems like, and you got to remember, NFL teams will sometimes put their own rumors out there to try and drive up some price and try and maybe make you think you're actually bidding for someone. Now, the word was that the Eagles wanted this year's first round, I think next year's second or third, and Tariq Cohen, the running back, excuse me. But they wanted them from the Bears to take Carson Wentz. Well, Carson Wentz, you benched him. Okay? You were so frustrated with Carson Wentz that you benched him. You're not getting – I know he was a first overall draft pick, but you're not getting that kind of return for him. He's not worth that much to anybody. But the word is that they were trying to put the word out there that this is what the Bears were offering, and they were trying to actually influence the Indianapolis Colts and get the Colts to say something. Maybe get the Colts to outbid the Bears because the Colts are in the quarterback market. And I guess the Colts weren't playing. So right now, everything as far as Carson Wentz is just falling apart because apparently the Colts decided they weren't going to play that bidding game. And Philadelphia tried it. They tried to get, they tried to build Wentz up a little bit. They used the Bears as leverage, but the Bears weren't playing either. So it just didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good that it kind of that strategy blew up in the Eagles' face. But I mean, I guess you might as well try it. You're trying to get as much return as you can for your players if you're going to trade them. But yeah, it does seem like the Eagles are just valuing. I think they value all their quarterbacks or both their quarterbacks. If you want to just count their top two, Hurts and Wentz, I think they value them more than just about anybody else in the league does.
Right now, yeah, and. You got the other thing is Wentz. Everybody's looking at his leadership. I've seen some questions about his leadership. Kind of the way he reacted when Jalen Hurts came in and the way he reacted when Jalen Hurts was put in to start. It became a question of, is this guy too sensitive? Can he, if things get rough, is he just going to fall apart on you? And I think that's probably one of the things that might be hurting the Carson Wentz negotiations right now, besides the fact that Wentz just had a terrible year last year.
Yeah. And let's not forget that. I mean, I always, when I hear about leadership stuff, I think a different sport, but there was a time where people were questioning Sidney Crosby's leadership skills, and you just kind of rolled your eyes, and especially now, because it's like,
I don't get that.
People questioned it. People valued Jonathan Taves ahead of Sidney Crosby as a leader and a captain.
Well, it's because Jonathan Taves is a big captain. He's a great player.
I'm not saying anything bad about Jonathan Taves. I'm just saying you would not take Jonathan Taves over Sidney Crosby. That Sidney Crosby is a fantastic player, one of the best players ever. They're not in the same conversation. But anyway, I don't want to talk about hockey here.
No, right.
Let me take it back to football, where look at Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow is a great leader, a fantastic person. Yes. You don't want him to quarterback your team. So this idea of this, how much do we value leadership? I always think that's a very complicated conversation.
Well, yeah, I think it is. It's interesting because, as long as the guy performs on the field, you're not necessarily looking at normally the quarterback. He performs on the field. He's the leader. He's the big guy. I mean, it's happened before, but
I think the issue I have with that discussion is, leadership, of course, is important. And if you are a player or a coach, you know whether or not a quarterback is a good leader or not. But as a fan, we don't know if these guys are good leaders. And then a lot of commentators end up making stupid comments like, oh, this quarterback's not a good leader because he wears his hat backwards on the sideline. What does that have to do with anything? It just.
Well, people used to.
Got another comment from Mike. If I can keep jumping in, all the indications are pointing to the Colts. The issue is the contract.
That might be the case, Mike. That might exactly. I wouldn't argue with that. The Colts need somebody, and I think the Colts still think they're Super Bowl contenders, and they need a frontline quarterback to add to the mix because they lost Phillip Rivers, and I would not be surprised if they make a big play for Russell Wilson. So, good point. But, Carson Wentz did more damage with the year he had last year. And again, I've got to go back and watch some film on this guy because I don't know, what is he doing different now that he what is he not doing now that he was doing a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
And that's the main thing, because I don't know what, because again, you don't normally see a first overall pick drop as completely as Wentz had. I mean, he's completely come off the board the way that is. And you just don't see this. First overall picks, I think of, Aikman and Peyton Manning and, guys like that. And once they're in, they stay up there. They give you a certain Andrew Luck. They give you a certain level of performance every year. They may not always have the parts around them, but you're going to get a high level of performance. And Wentz just completely fell apart. He threw for 2,600 yards. His passer rating was 72.8. That's just abysmal. That's terrible.
Yeah.
In the 1940s, that might have been a great passer rating. Great passer rating now.
Right. Not a number one pick, but a similar guy is Derek Carr to Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
They both were MVP candidates. Carr in 2016, Wentz in 2017. Right. They got hurt in December. And one team went out to win the Super Bowl. The other team was out in the first round. That's the difference. But they came back and they have not been the same. And Derek Carr it was better than Carson Wentz the last couple of years, but he's not an MVP candidate. He's okay. He's above average, good enough to keep his job. Where Wentz has lost his job and might be changing teams. So, I'm not ashamed to say that I don't know what the problem is either, because I don't think the Raiders or the Eagles know what the problem is, because if they knew what the problem was, they'd fix it. No one really knows what's going on with Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I mean, it's the question, and now, the problem is, and that's why the Eagles aren't going to get first-round draft picks for him, because you're speculating that you can fix this guy.
Right. He's a reclamation project.
Right. Exactly.
You don't give up a first-round pick for a reclamation project. You just
nope. No, you don't. You don't. Zozo, do you agree?
I think that was an agree.
Yeah, I say Zozo agrees. She definitely agrees.
We do have another comment. This leading into our J.J. Watt discussion, Tom, from Julie in Delaware. She didn't write it in the Facebook chat. Julie, you got to write it in the Facebook chat. But she asks, and Julie loves adding S's to the ends of words. So she says, "What do you think about J.J. Watts going to Pittsburgh?"
I think it's very possible. That's where his brother is. And I think Pittsburgh would kind of have fun with that. Now, again, the problem is Pittsburgh going to end up looking for a quarterback? You think
that's the biggest problem?
Well, can they afford J.J. Watts and a quarterback? That's the thing. You're always looking at salary cap here. And that's the problem with Russell Wilson, is he's never been a quarterback who's been willing to give on the salary. Part of the reason why he doesn't have blockers in Seattle or running back in Seattle is because he's never been open to restructuring his contract. He's never been open to cutting. He's always wanted this max deal. I'm the starter. I'm the star. And he is the starter. He is the star. He is not a game manager. He is an elite quarterback. But that's one of the reasons why it's tough for Seattle to build around him, is you still got to deal with the salary cap too.
Right.
Yeah.
Mike says he's got to go, but great show. Mike, thanks so much for the comments.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Hope to see you next Saturday.
Very appreciative. Yep.
Yeah, quarterback position aside for Pittsburgh, I just don't know if the Steelers can afford J.J. Watt. From The Athletic, Mark, I'm not sure how to say his last name, but he's a reporter covers the Steelers for The Athletic, Mark Caboli. He tweeted that in order for Watt to be a member of the Steelers, he's going to have to play for a 1-year, $1.1 million deal where, because of bonuses, he only counts as $885,000 towards the cap. I don't know how likely that is. I mean, I'm sure J.J. Watt would love to play with his brother, and I think Watt is going to go to a playoff team. Wants. I think he's going to take less money to go to a playoff team because I think he's chasing that championship. But is he going to do a 1-year minimum deal to play with his brother?
I don't know. They do commercials together. They seem to be, pretty.
They are very close. They are very close.
They seem to be fairly close.
And I'm sure J.J. Watt has enough money for the rest of his life. There's no doubt about that.
Well, three-time Defensive Player of the Year. I think, J.J. Watt's done pretty well for himself.
But you know how these NFL players and athletes just in general are. They want what they're worth. And I don't mean that as a bad thing. I think we all want what we're worth. And I just don't know if he's willing to swallow that much in money, that much pride to play with his brother. If he is, good for him. And it would be great. It would be great for the Steelers, no doubt. I don't think it's very likely.
No, most players aren't willing to do that. Most players, 99.99. And let's see. Cap space, no. Right now, the Steelers are in salary cap hell.
Yeah.
So, they're not going to be able to do too much here. But the thing is, I think most teams are in salary cap hell. So
that's true.
What are you going to be able to get?
Especially the good team. The good teams are in salary cap hell.
Right. So, if you do want to go to a good team, if you want to get back into those playoffs, because J.J. Watt's never seen the Super Bowl yet, maybe he does take a little less to go with a team. I don't know. I don't know. It might be too much to swallow to say a minimum contract, but I don't think he's going to get what he would be worth if there were no salary cap to be involved.
Well, to that point, I just thought of this. Well, maybe Watt does say, hey, hopefully things go back to normal this fall, 2021, fans return. The salary cap is going to go up next offseason. I'll play. I don't want to get pigeonholed into a long-term deal where I'm not getting paid what I'm worth because of the salary cap situation now. So why don't I sign a 1-year deal, play for a playoff caliber team, then cash in next offseason?
And I think a lot of players are actually going to do that, hoping that the salary cap makes a recovery in 2022.
That would be interesting if that I think would raise Pittsburgh's chances.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out in free agency, because this is going to be a very interesting free agent year because of what. And one more quarterback I want to bring up that I just kind of saw something on today. Troy Aikman made a comment about the Cowboys really need to get moving and sign Dak Prescott to a long-term deal. Because I think Dak Prescott, I don't know if he's a restricted free agent, but, Aikman's going, let's get Prescott signed. We need a quarterback. Prescott's the quarterback. I know there are a lot of Chicago Bears fans who would love to see Dak Prescott in navy blue and orange. So, and that's what we're talking about with quarterbacks is there are just so many questions.
Yeah. That's why I called it musical chairs earlier, because, Dallas might be looking at the quarterback market right now, and I'm not saying that this is how they should feel, but I think Dallas has always felt kind of questionable about Dak Prescott. I think if they were all in on Prescott, they would have signed him last year. But clearly,
I believe so.
They weren't all in on him last year. They didn't sign him to a deal. Now he's coming off of an injury. So do they look at this market and say, yeah, we're going to try and go get Russell Wilson, or we're going to go try and get some Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, a bigger name that would be an upgrade from Dak Prescott. But the danger of doing that, though, is Dak Prescott is still a very good quarterback. Yes. And you don't want to not get Wilson and then let Prescott go, because we saw what the Cowboys are without Prescott last year. It was a disaster. That's why it's musical chairs. You don't want to be without the chair when the music stops. You don't want to be without a quarterback.
Right.
So that's what makes it very, very interesting. And if I was Dallas, I would do what Troy Aikman is saying. I would sign Dak Prescott. Absolutely.
So would I. So would I. But this is Jerry Jones we're talking about. So, it's Jerry Jones. You never know. I don't count anything. I don't count anything out when it comes to him. But J.J. Watt, I don't know, where would J.J. Watt end up? The
Athletic had 10 teams that he would be a good fit for. And then they had wild card teams. So basically they had more than 10 teams. There's going to be a lot of suitors for him. And the two top teams on their list were the sentimental picks, the Green Bay Packers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Green Bay being because he's from Wisconsin. Yeah. But I don't think either of those are likely. I think the more likely picks that I like on the list that they made were Seattle, Buffalo, and Baltimore. With Baltimore, they have a great defense and they have a good front seven already. But Parnell McGee, Matthew Judon, Derek Wolfe, and Yannick Ngakoue are all free agents. So if the Ravens in their own musical chair games say, okay, we'd rather have J.J. Watt than these four guys, or maybe they only bring back two, they could potentially bring in J.J. Watt. I like either of those three teams over their chances getting Watt than Pittsburgh or Green Bay.
Yeah, I think that's more realistic. Definitely. So,
and they fit the bill of what we're saying. They're playoff teams. Seattle lost in the first round, but they went 12-4. I don't think they're far from competing for a Super Bowl. Buffalo obviously was right there, and Baltimore is always good. So,
Baltimore
they're going to be that kind of team. That kind of team is where J.J. Watt's going to fit in, I think.
I think Baltimore is a very good possibility for him. They still have pieces around him. J.J. Watt is not Defensive Player of the Year caliber anymore. He's 32.
He's still a very good player.
He's still a very good player. Yes.
Yeah.
So whoever does end up with him is going to get somebody who's going to be able to plug in very well and give them a lot of, give you another weapon. Maybe you can free up another pass rusher because it gives offenses somebody they have to pay attention to.
Right. Absolutely.
And he may not be Defensive Player of the Year, but you got to watch him.
Yeah. And I'm not sure off the top of my head how many sacks he had last year, but think about it. Houston was behind in pretty much every game.
Yes.
So if he plays on a good team and they have leads and they're ahead in the fourth quarter, he's going to have a much bigger season sack-wise and production-wise. The production wasn't there this year, but as we're saying, he's still a very good player.
Yeah, he is. So, I think Baltimore makes a lot of sense for him. I think Buffalo makes a lot of sense for him. It's going to be interesting to see where he lands. And Pittsburgh's a sentimental choice, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think so either. And that's going to hurt Julie's heart if he goes to Baltimore instead of Pittsburgh. That's going to be a wrencher. And that would be an interesting Watt household.
Yes, that sure would.
JJ in Pittsburgh and JJ in Baltimore. We'll see if it happens. But we got about 10 minutes left in the show. We've had a lot of interaction today. We love it. Keep sending in your comments. We'll read them on air, or if you're watching on replay, tweet at us at TJ Pollen, at DM Holcomb. We're going to end today's show with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Can I make one more point real quick, Dave?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Quick RIP to Marty Schottenheimer, a man who should be in the Hall of Fame and is not. Came close to being in the Super Bowl twice and never made the Super Bowl, which is probably why he's never been in the Hall of Fame. But, 7th all-time on the all-time wins list. A spectacular coach. A lot of coaches. Bruce Arians is one of the guys who said, Marty Schottenheimer gave me my shot. I wouldn't be a coach without Marty Schottenheimer. This is just, it was very upsetting to see. Upsetting that he didn't get into the Hall of Fame before this happened, before he passed.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I think the Pro Football Hall of Fame came up with this coaches category till 2024, because I think they want to be able to get some of these coaches, instead of going on a regular ballot with players, they want some of these coaches to be on the ballot on their own. And
yeah.
I think Schottenheimer deserved it more than Tom Flores this year. So I would have liked to have seen Schottenheimer get in, but just a quick shout out. It was sad news last week for the NFL family, and
absolutely, yeah.
All the best to his family.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought him up. He's one of many coaches from Pittsburgh. He's from Canonsburg, Pennsylvania, and being from Pittsburgh myself, I follow the coaches from there. And Bill Cowher got his start as well under Marty Schottenheimer, a guy from Pittsburgh, and won the Super Bowl as a Steelers head coach. So lots of ties to Schottenheimer for Pittsburgh people.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, as I say, condolences to his family, but a hell of a man. Well deserving of a spot in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and it's unfortunate he's not going to live to see it, but he should be in, and he deserves it.
Well, this is going to be quite a transition now, going from Marty Schottenheimer to Urban Meyer, because Schottenheimer, although he never won the Super Bowl, one of the classiest head coaches really in the Super Bowl era or NFL history. And now we're talking about Urban Meyer, who's a rookie NFL coach. And we talked about him a few weeks ago, and already he's causing controversy with something that is so unnecessary. Yeah. He tried to hire, or did hire, Chris Doyle as his what was his I forgot to write down what his official title was with Jacksonville. But he was the strength coach for Iowa for a long time. 2 decades. Yeah,
I think I forget the exact title they were using, and I wish they would just get over it and start using the same title. Strength and conditioning coach is probably that's probably as close as you get to it.
Yeah, some kind of workout coach. A coach that is in the gym more than a football coach. He's a workout coach. He's a workout guy.
Right.
And he was hired Thursday. And then the Fritz Pollard Alliance, which is a nonprofit. Fritz Pollard Alliance. It's a nonprofit organization that promotes equal opportunity in the NFL. Heavily criticized the hire because of accusations against Doyle for racist behavior that occurred while he was at Iowa. Iowa and Doyle came to a settlement to part ways just last year, I believe.
Yes.
Doyle has never worked for Urban Meyer, so there's no tie there to why Meyer wants his own guy. But Meyer tried to hire Doyle, and then Doyle resigned yesterday, so he's not going to end up coaching for the Jaguars.
No, and he shouldn't. And, I've seen a lot of comments saying, well, you got to give the guy another chance. I mean, what is this? Why are we attacking him? Nobody gets a second chance. You get a second chance after you show contrition for the original act. And he hasn't done that. He's taken a settlement. He's kind of moved on without making a public statement, even saying, yeah, we had a few problems. I had here and there, but I do apologize. It's not the way I feel. And, coming forward, then I think he becomes a little more acceptable. But, the funny thing is Jacksonville said, we vetted him. Well, you couldn't have vetted him all that good. Because in this day and age, in this environment, anybody with a past where, there are allegations of racist conduct, it's going to come up and you're going to be attacked for it. The amazing thing is, I was reading Pro Football Talk, And they made the comment that, Urban Meyer is now finding out that, the pros are different than college. You are no longer the king of the city, of the state, like you were in college. You got to actually answer these questions. You don't get to bypass them and brush them off. And, if you're going to ask me that question, you're not going to get access to the team. You can't do that in the pros. The NFL is a lot different. So,
yeah, that's a really good point. And that is probably a better point than what I was going to make. I was going to say that it seemed like Urban Meyer just made this hire and hoped that nobody was going to notice. Actually, it's probably,
but that's true, Dave. That's a great point.
Yeah, but I think it could be more what you said. I think he thought that people might notice, but no one would be able to do anything about it.
Right. He's still at Florida, or he's still at Ohio State, where you can't question me. Well, he was followed up. I guess the Jacksonville press, or the Jaguars press, followed up about 4 straight questions about this. Kept following up, wouldn't let it go. And I think Urban Meyer.
They shouldn't.
No, they shouldn't. Absolutely. So, and the Fritz Pollard Alliance, I give them a lot of credit, because I don't think without them you would have as many minority coaches in place today as you would if they hadn't been there. Just to go real quickly, Fritz Pollard was a black man in the early 20s at the beginning of the NFL, and was actually a quarterback, or what passed for a quarterback in those days. It was a wingback, and was actually a coach for a short time. And then the racial policies came into play in the NFL, and there was a color barrier for about 16 years. But that's, the Fritz Pollard Alliance is kind of advancing in the name of Fritz Pollard, that, advancing the names of minority coaches, and putting minority coaches out there that, deserve a chance to be a head coach. And Fritz Pollard Alliance is saying that this is just more good old boy hiring. This is, this is just somebody hiring somebody he knew. He may not have worked with him, but he knew Doyle.
No, he knew him. Yeah, I didn't mean to say he didn't know him. I just think, coaches are more likely to give somebody a second chance if they've worked with them before. He's never worked with them before. That's what's so odd. And the other odd thing is, I can see why the Cleveland Browns want to give Kareem Hunt a second chance, because fans are going to see directly.
I don't see it.
But I
mean,
Kareem
Hunt he's never admitted to the original accusations. He's still got these sexual abuse accusations and physical assault accusations out there that he has never addressed. He's never shown contrition for.
I'm not disagreeing with that. But as a fan, you want to win games, right?
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt is going to help you win games. How is Chris Doyle going to work with me a little bit, Tom? Kareem Hunt is going to you're going to see what he brings the organization directly on the field.
Yes, you are. Yes.
Okay, so there are going to be some people, not us, but some people that say, okay, it's worth having Kareem Hunt. But no one is going to see what Chris Doyle does to bring positiveness, what he brings to the Jaguars organization. So no fan is going to argue with us or a friend that, Chris Doyle is not a great guy, but he's a really good workout coach. He's really good at what he does. Nobody will know that as a fan. That's why it's such a weird hire. You can't
and that might be another reason why that ended up being the hire.
Because no one would notice?
Nobody was going to notice. Well, yeah, they noticed.
Yeah, that is true, but we did notice, and it's not it's not justifiable like a star would be on the field.
Well, right. Exactly.
Yeah. I don't mean to condone what Kareem Hunt did. I don't mean to condone what other players that they've gotten second chances and probably didn't deserve it. But that happens. They get second chances because they bring something to the team. Like Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown didn't deserve a second chance, but he got one in the Bay because he's a great player. But Chris Doyle is not a player. You're not going to see what he brings every game to the team.
And there are a bunch of other guys who could do that job just as well.
Right. That too. Antonio Brown is one of a kind. At least he was. Maybe not anymore. Kareem Hunt led the league in rushing. Chris Doyle, how do you measure the best strength coach?
Yeah, you don't. You really can't. It's ridiculous.
So we're hit the hour mark. Thanks for tuning in this Saturday. Hit a lot of topics today. Really fun show.
Really did.
We love all the interaction. We'll be back next Saturday, noon Eastern time, 11 a.m. Central. Follow us on Twitter during the week at TJ Pollen, at DM Holcomb. Shout out to our producer, Chris. We love you, even though, maybe you don't get the tweet up right away every week.
Oh, please. My God.
I'm just teasing you, Chris. We love you. And Chris, what's your Twitter handle? We'll give your Twitter handle out.
Yeah, sure. My Twitter handle is C Smitherman II. That's at C Smitherman II. And you all can find me there.
Awesome.
Sounds great.
Follow Chris on Twitter. We'll be back next Saturday.
Yep.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.